Hey, welcome to the Tuesday Talk Movies podcast. I'm Cam,
I'm Luke.
and today we are talking about the 2017 historical action film Dunkirk, featuring our
Special guest.
special guest.
Yeah.
This is Luke's guest this time.
Yeah, surprising. I found a guest. Because every other time it's just been somebody Cam knows. But yeah, know him off Instagram, which is a strange place to find people, but here we are. And he likes films. Thought he was pretty interesting. So we're here with the one, the only, Griffin May.
Hello.
Griffin May, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
You've seen the last 30 minutes.
What? Yeah.
Yeah, true. Last 30 minutes I've been setting these cameras up Luke set them up. There was one that was giving me issues.
Yeah, we were struggling, but we're here. We made it. We're good.
Yes.
So, Griffin, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Why are you here? What's going on?
Well, I'm a sophomore here at Eastern. I'm a digital media major. Hoping to get into film, just working a camera or just making movies.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where'd you find that passion at?
I've had it for a long time. I've kind of just made a few short films, and I've done stop motion films as well.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
And that is super tedious. I made a couple in high school. I got tired of 2 minutes because I hated moving everything 1 centimeter and making it sucked.
It's every inch you move, you gotta take 10 pictures.
Yeah, kudos to you though, because I know I hated it.
They're a little choppy, but still proud of them.
Yeah, but you're here now. You're on the podcast. Welcome.
Yes.
I'm here.
But today, like I said, we're talking about Dunkirk and the film's stars. It has a kind of star-studded cast. It stars Fionn, 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 Whitehead, Cillian Murphy.
Finn.
That would make sense, right? It said Fionn, so the O's throwing me off. So probably
I know if I could read it.
yeah. Finn Whitehead, Cillian Murphy, Harry Styles, Tom Hardy, that's bro, and Barry Keoghan. Yeah, that's about it. We got a couple.
Kenneth Branagh. You're just gonna skip over him.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That guy. That's
Yeah, him is Jack Loudon, Mark Rylance, Tom Glenn Carney. I think I'm good there.
Yeah, that's about everybody.
Yeah.
About it, yeah.
So the film is about, not good with histories, but it's about World War II.
Yeah.
But it takes the perspective of 3 different soldiers, and one is on land, one's on air, and one's on boat.
Yes.
And it's kind of cool because they all kind of link up at some point, or well, they don't all link up, but
they cross paths.
yeah. But I think that's kind of a really cool point with that. But I know it's kind of a vague thing, but they all have their own battle literally going on.
Yeah.
So they're just going throughout the entire movie, and it's kind of a
it's all on the beaches of Dunkirk where the
actual war took place.
where Nazi Germany's forces kind of pushed the British and French both forces towards the beach, and it was about the evacuation effort going on.
Had to evacuate 300,000 soldiers from just from there.
But before we get too technical with it,
Yeah.
I think we should go over some general thoughts. Where better to start than with the guest?
Griffin.
Yeah.
I overall really enjoyed it. War movies aren't typically my thing, but this one in particular kind of stuck out to me. One, because it's directed by Christopher Nolan, who I really like, and also because my dad also likes war movies, so he recommended it to me. I thought hey, it's
new.
War movie, Christopher Nolan, sure, why not?
Yeah. You seen 1917?
I have not seen 1917.
I think if you like this, you'll like that as well. There's a really cool technical aspect with that, but I'll let you figure that out on your own if you watch it.
I kind of heard a little bit about it. It's it looks like it was taken one take or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it. Luke, how are we feeling?
I would say for me, I like the majority of it. There's just a slight few things that I don't care for, but they don't impact much. I do enjoy it. We'll get into that.
I don't think there's ever been a movie that you just gave a 5.
There has, but you got to have a certain amount of skills to gain a 5 out of me.
You need to be Spider-Man, you'll get a 5, or
Spider-Verse. Spider-Verse and the Batman got a 5, but I will have you know that Oppenheimer was also a 5.
For Christopher Nolan, you do superhero movies, whatever. It doesn't matter. Different stuff.
Right.
I enjoyed this. At one point, I think on my Letterboxd I have it as a 5 out of 5. We'll see if that is still the same at the end of this episode. But I do think I don't know about you guys, but it didn't have like a. I mean, I say that, but I really enjoyed it. To keep it brief,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't really have many critiques with it, but I think it was a pretty interesting way to tell a story, and some consider it the best war movie ever. I don't know if I can co-sign that, but I also haven't seen that many war films.
Yeah.
But I've seen a couple. But I don't know. It's always hard to say what's like the staple for a certain genre.
Yeah.
But we can start off with I think the main thing that kind of stood out to me was the opening scene.
Yeah, that stuck out to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. You coming in, you got excuse me, I'm terrible with names. Give me one second. What's her name?
I'm bad with names, so don't worry.
I think it's Finn or Tommy.
It's Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah, you start off with Tommy, and him and his other troop mates are in, where are we at?
Dunkirk.
Yeah, just like the little town
Just
that's
like
like
the
right
yeah,
next to Dunkirk.
Yeah, and they're looking around, but it starts off so beautiful. They have like the it's not flare, it's like just debris
Yeah.
just falling
Bollard,
down.
right.
Yeah, and you think it's, I don't know, it just looks so peaceful, and you're hit. It doesn't get as turquoise as it does later in the film, but it's I don't know, you could tell it's like not natural light, which I also think is pretty cool. That makes it, and it works well.
Yeah.
But you start off with that, and then instantly guns blazing, but it's their side shooting at them by mistake, and then we get off to the main movie, or to the main the beach. And I think starting a movie off with action like just like that is I don't know, it's a preparation for what you're about to get into for the next hour. And what was this, hour 46, hour 45?
That's one of Nolan's shortest.
Yeah. I think he was the second. And I don't know if it felt like that for you guys, but we never really slow down this entire movie. Like, the slowest part is the 5 minutes before the first bullet goes off. And we're just keep that same consistency the whole time.
Bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm rambling. I'm yapping right now. But how do we feel about that?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I really liked the opening because to me it kind of called into the scale of things
Mm-hmm.
where they have, I wrote it down, how many, employed over 6,000 extras, and in one scene there's just a crane and a Spitfire and 1,500 extras used to like recreate the look of 338,000 people.
I saw that
Which is
article.
Yeah, just insane amount of people to just be like, can y'all stand on a beach for like a few hours and not move? And I was like, but yeah, like it calls into the scale, like as the camera's like panning over the beach and you see how many people are standing there, and none of them are CGI'd in. Like it's all just real people vibing out on the beach.
Yeah.
And all their gear and stuff just makes you kind of understand the scope of it, knowing that it's all practical and it's not digital.
I wonder how much they were paid. I'm always curious how much extras get
Hey,
paid.
$5. But
With $100 million budget? Yeah.
Go
like $100.
Go stand on a cold beach. $5. Here you go. Get out.
yeah. I mean, $5 is $5.
Exactly.
Yeah, but how do you feel about it?
For me, the opening it does kind of like set up the rest of the film. It does start slow, but like after the first 5 minutes, it really just picks up with like back-to-back action, and then just the way it's like set up and the way it looks and like the lighting, and then just like Luca brought up, like just knowing that those are like real people on the beach, not just like CGI'd in, it really kind of like helps show the scale a lot more.
Yeah. And I think that ties in with like the cinematography of it too, where like the sections in the air with the planes and all that, those are actual dogfights in the air. Those aren't CGI or anything. And so they just slapped cameras on the bottom of planes and like inside the cockpits and just said, go fly around and have some fun. And it like all looks really good. The audio quality doesn't feel terrible off of it. I kind of laughed to myself the first time when Tom Hardy put on his like mask thing, because he sounded like Bane from the Dark.
Everybody say that.
And I was like, oh, I forgot that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. I liked the camera angles for that, and then like in the water too. Like they're just out in the ocean. I don't think they're on any like studio sets as far as I'm aware. I'm sure some of that maybe was, but for the majority, knowing Nolan, he was probably just out in the middle of nowhere.
Nolan.
But yeah, I found one goofy thing with that being like all in the beach area, and I can't like hate it too much because I don't know if that's historically how it went, but I feel like the Germans were just really stupid for the entire opening of the movie because they had like the bomber planes that would go over briefly, and like out of these hundreds of thousands of people, they killed like 10 or like 12, and then didn't return for the rest of the movie. And I was like, you have them all cornered on the beach. What do you mean that you're not gonna get it? You got to corner. Not that like the Germans should have killed everybody. That like that's
what you're saying.
that's not what I'm saying.
Sounds like.
But as a filmmaking standpoint, that's like a plot hole to me where I'm just like I don't enjoy that.
Yeah,
But then again, it's historical, so I don't know if I can like hate that. But
I thought in your eyes, Nolan could do no wrong.
when did I say that?
I don't know. We just talk. I don't know. I feel like
I mean, like the three of us, like being Nolan fans, I like coming into this, I was like, there's no way the three of us aren't gonna glaze him a little bit at some point.
Boy, glaze. I will glaze Nolan any day.
Hey, we didn't say it.
okay. What you got going on?
We know what I mean.
You don't know what you mean. Look, Griffin, this is our first time talking. What do you talk about?
Don't even like you wouldn't join in on it.
I'm not glazing no man though. So let's get that established.
Right.
But yeah, what's up?
But yeah, I feel like just kind of the practicality and the filmmaking of it is why I'm a huge fan of it, because Nolan likes to do most of his stuff practically. So if he can, he will. And like, I feel like he takes it to a extreme almost, but not to where it's like over the top and it's like you're doing too much. It's just to a point where it's like, hell yeah, you're doing something cool.
Yeah.
With like all the ships that are there, I think there's like 62 in the water at one point in a shot or something like that. And they're all actual ships from like that time period that he like was able to resource and pull back out.
At one point, do you think it's too much? 'Cause that was kind of interesting. You said he's like, it's not too.
Yeah, I think you can go a little over the top at some point. I don't think Nolan, as far as I have seen of his works, has gone over the top with like doing it practically. But well, not that you can really go over the top doing it practically, but like where it feels like you're doing too much. I don't think.
The point, not in this film, that I kind of like. It wasn't too much for me, but like he crashed a plane to a building in Tenet. Was that like not too much for you?
I mean, he got the money to do that and was like able to do it.
Just because you're able to do something doesn't.
Yeah, that doesn't mean like you should.
Should.
Yeah, like I mean, for Robin, I'd be like, no, you shouldn't drop an atomic bomb.
No.
We let you, but like, I don't know. Now that I think about it, maybe that part would be a little bit much. But if I remember right, he was able to like do it safely.
Okay. That was just
I don't know.
that came to mind. Like what point's done much.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that more. That's a good question.
But Griffin, what are like your favorite parts of the film? Something that stood out.
I'd say like probably one of my favorite parts is like the airplane fights. Like I just enjoy it. I just like enjoy watching like go round and just like it was kind of like I feel like it was realistic. I'm not sure. I'm not a pilot, so like what do I know? But I feel like for the most part it was like pretty realistic for what they would have done, and just like and watching the dogfights was kind of cool.
Yeah, I think Tom Hardy does a really good job of like creating this like he's in this tight spot and it makes you feel claustrophobic with him, which I think kind of goes with another part of the film we could talk about in a second, of just I don't know, just feel like you're in that space. And I like that we have the straight on camera angle in the close up. Well, it's not super close up. It's like I don't know if it's medium, whatever. It's just like just his face, and like you get as much space as he gets, and that kind of creates the environment of how serious this situation is. But another part that I want to talk about that kind of goes along with that is the aspect ratio. And if you don't know, those are like the black bars at the top and sometimes on the side of your screen. And with the boat scene with Cillian Murphy and Barry Keoghan, I don't know if I pronounced that right, Keegan, those have thicker bars than other scenes. And I think that was appropriate because it felt like it's a whole separate thing because they aren't directly fighting anyone.
Yeah.
And at that part, to me, it felt like more of a drama and a thriller than a war film. Like I know that's the basis of the whole film, but this certain part in the film that it kind of just felt like its own thing, and I think that is mostly because of how much emphasis you have to put on character, not relation. I get character relationships and just character development at the same time, and just who your characters are as well. Like you get the dad, and then you have the Barry Keoghan's character who just hops on because he wants to be something, and and he wants to contribute because he sucked at school. Well, that's not the only reason why, but he just wasn't good at school. He's like, I want to contribute something to society. So, yeah, I think that was really good for the establishing where we are in the film.
Yeah, and I think it takes on that drama too with whenever Cillian Murphy's character as the soldier kind of like loses it and he's like, I'm not going back to the beach, like turn around. And he fights the dad a little bit and Barry Keoghan's character gets like flown down the stairs and hits his head open, like starts bleeding. Like that is another like character relationship that you got to deal with, is like now the soldier is like directly involved and responsible for some of these people. And it kind of creates some drama around like, is Keoghan's character going to be okay? How is it going to affect Cillian Murphy's character going forward? That kind of stuff.
But what are we thinking?
See, just kind of going off what you said, like we kind of see that develop through the film too. It's just like eventually, like Cillian Murphy's character asks, like, is he okay? Is he going to be okay? And like at that point, it's like he's almost dead at that point because he hit his head pretty hard from what I could tell. And then eventually he does die, and then it's just like, yeah, the other guy had like just lie straight to Cillian Murphy's face, being like, yeah, he's gonna be all right. And then it just wasn't.
I thought you were about to say something.
I was, but what's
up?
I going to say?
I was about to say.
All right. But
Who goes first?
one of the other things kind of going on with some of the talent, you know, with Christopher Nolan's directing, Hans Zimmer's behind the score. And at first, I didn't think much of it. Like I didn't notice it. I didn't care about it at first. And then like as it went on and like the movie like kept getting higher and higher stakes as it goes, like once they're actually evacuated, boats are blowing up. Cillian Murphy is like knocking Barry Keoghan's character down the stairs. The gas like gauge or fuel gauge in the plane starts going out, and like the themes are kind of like picking up more. Like then I started kind of paying attention and caring about it. And I found out something interesting, that it was not originally all split up. It was all just one piece. The Hans Zimmer sat down for like an hour and a half and just like went ham on the.
So the whole score is just one.
It's all just one thing, and then like they broke it up and just said, all right, these are going to be the segments now.
That's fine.
And not directly the same, but kind of like Interstellar's theme for mountains. There's another ticking in the back. Cam's getting PTSD because if you watched the Interstellar episode, I mentioned the ticking for that and tried to explain the time dilation, and I still don't think he's fully
about get it. No, it was blind. It was just like, whoa, what the? And I saw Interstellar over break, and I was, and it was hitting like, oh yeah.
But
what is it now?
So this one is throughout the entire movie, and it's not like directly time related like that one is, but there's a ticking that's in the back, and it's just Nolan's pocket watch that ticks throughout the film, but there's synthesizers that like distort it through the film.
Really?
So in parts that you don't hear the ticking, it's still there, but it's just distorted.
That's not on purpose though, is it?
I mean, if they went back with the synthesizers and distorted it, I would assume, yeah. But for like just having in the background of like just the theme is just the style choice, I would assume.
But a pocket watch it. Why?
I don't know.
It's a random choice.
Yeah, but it's cool. Like, I mean, I think that
cool. Yeah, it's just really random.
Yeah, it's not as cool as the other one, but
yeah.
Whatever.
I don't know. It's just something.
Yeah,
I'm fun behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think it didn't really stand out to me until we were evacuating the boats, and it was just so climactic and like what's gonna happen next. But yeah, good score. It was good, but there's usually a song that I pick up after there's usually a song I just download because it's there. I don't know. I just feel like it had a theme. There was nothing that really stood out to me that I could listen to like regularly.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I just thought the making behind it, I guess, was neat. Yeah. But I agree. I don't think I walked away having something in my head like I did with Interstellar or Oppenheimer, stuff like that. I didn't have a theme that was like in my head.
Yeah, for me, like the soundtrack definitely didn't like stand out to me. It just like, I mean, a couple of pieces like near the end, like where it's starting to like pick up more and more, like that part was just like, you know, a lot of grand music and whatnot, but it didn't really like stick out to me like too much.
Considering this is Nolan's second shortest movie, do we think it's rushed? Or do you feel like
I-
we just didn't have enough? Do you feel like it's rushed, or do you feel like we'll just leave it at that? Do you feel like it's rushed?
I feel like a lot happens, but it's not like really rushed. I think it's the appropriate length it needs to be.
45, okay.
I feel like it's not rushed, but it might be too spaced out, if that makes sense. Because that kind of ties into like one of the like minor gripes, and like the only really one that I had for this was that it was split up into 3 different perspectives on the way it was.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Like if they do that and like it's split up and it works like this, that's okay. But I feel like it bounced around a little too much to where trying to piece it back together, I was just like, okay, I like you start out on the beach, right?
Yeah.
You're following that along because that's in real time. You're going whatever. And then you cut to like the brief part with the planes and it's like, okay, so maybe there's multiple perspectives. And then it cuts to the other boat with the dad and son. And it's like, okay, they're also here now, I guess. And then it goes back to the beach. And for me, I still only really cared about what was happening on the beach more than I did with the boat in the planes. Because I feel like if you still only followed the beach plot line the entire way through, having all the characters like interwoven with it, they would all still play out, but there wouldn't be any reason to show them like in depth the way they do. Where like you get these maybe 5-10 minute long dogfights in the air, and then you cut back to the beach, and the dogfight didn't really amount to anything other than a fuel gauge going out. And I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's. It's not bad, but it's just like it feels too spaced out. Like I'm caring more about the beach plot line with the mole than I am about the air or the sea.
I think it kind of goes with perspective too, just to understand like what everyone kind of goes through of, I don't know, just like their own battles. Like we saw like no real action with the boats. I mean you did, but I mean like with when Barry Keoghan was in
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
those are experiences that might get overlooked because we only think of the big war aspect and people just shooting guns all day. But I also think it comes with I don't know, just preference. Like you care. That was a question I wanted to ask. Like, who do you guys think had the best storyline to follow? And you said jeez, you said you cared about the land story more than something, but I don't know what yours is, and shouldn't tell you know what mine was, but I think it also goes with preference too, which is like that's just like the point of talking about movies anyway, right?
Yeah.
But
What do you think?
yeah,
I think like favorite like plot line was probably just like how like the air and like the sea connected together. Like
yeah,
it's just like knowing that like there was an air battle like going on above head, and then you also had like stuff going on down in the boats too. It's just like they're so close together and they like intertwine nicely.
yeah. I think seeing Tom Hardy fly over Barry Keoghan, that's the only person I keep saying his name. It's the only one I remember from the boat. And that wasn't his dad. Nah,
Where like he gets worried about it and his dad's like, that's one of ours, don't worry about it.
yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I think just seeing them overpass each other is really cool. And yeah, I don't know if I have a favorite. I think I'd have to agree that what were you gonna say, something?
No.
I think I have to agree that the land story was my favorite. But that's also because I think we spend the most time with him
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
And that's who we were first introduced to.
I might add a side note with that where the land is still my favorite part of it. And I think it's the like most entertaining and engaging aspect of it. But if we're going off of acting, the sea is probably what I enjoy the most.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because there's moments that like with those characters, the dad, the son who's played by Keegan and Cillian Murphy, as they all like interact. Like that's acting that I can visibly see and be like, yeah, they're doing good. And then not to say like the beach isn't doing good, but I'm more worried and focused on the action and intensity and the suspense of the beach than I am the acting.
I think for me it came with I agree with that because the movie doesn't have that much dialogue anyway.
Oh, it does. It's actually really short on it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting aspect with it because it's so short and there's no talking, which is kind of the basis of a movie. I mean, not necessarily like you got, short films or whatever. Not short films, silent films. Uh, but I don't know, for a war movie to not have this much talking, I think is really cool. But it also allows us to just focus on guns blazing.
All the action and
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think if they added more dialogue, would it like positively impact it or negatively impact it, do you think?
For me, I'd say it's like it's kind of like 50-50 for me. It's like if they added more, like obviously, like yeah, we'd probably learn more about like the situation they're in and just like maybe like statistics and whatnot. But if if they kept it the same, or yeah, if they added more, it could like negatively affect like just like all the action going on too, and like just like less time for that kind of as short as the film already is.
Yeah, I don't think it just calls for a longer film, which I don't think I'd have a problem with.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad with this length. I'm always down for it.
You're always itching for short movies. Whenever like we mention something and it's like, honestly, if it's over 2 hours, you're like, man, this movie's long. What? And I'm like, dude, what?
We have stuff to do, and I'm dreading it. It's kind of a sneak whatever. Yeah, I don't think I would have been mad if we had more dialogue because that just only calls for more screen time. I wasn't mad at it. I don't think I've ever seen a Nolan movie and to be upset that it was too long or too short. Or yeah, I don't think I was upset that it was too long. Like Oppenheimer, I went to go see it like 3 times in the theater. So
If I had more money, I would definitely watch it more often.
Oppenheimer,
Yeah.
it was on Prime for a minute, so you could have watched it. Yeah,
It's on Peacock now though, and I own it on DVD. So
nice.
and just plug it in
I
whenever
think
I
it's
want.
on like EIU's streaming thing too.
Hold up, EIU has a streaming thing?
Yeah, movies.eiu.edu.
You don't live on campus, so you don't.
Free movies.
Yeah, and it's pretty good movies. I mean, like
I did not know that.
it doesn't.
That's how I watched Dunkirk.
I'm gonna get hooked up with this at some point. If they added more dialogue, I don't think I would have hated it, but I kind of like that there's less of it because it feels a little more realistic. Like if you're being shot at, you're not gonna stop and be like, "Oh no, the enemy is advancing," and you're not gonna like deliberately talk in like a sophisticated way about it. You're gonna be like, "Get down," and that's it. And then it also kind of like helps avoid exposition dumping,
Mhm.
where like everybody's just telling you how things are.
Yeah.
Like in the sea, getting that understanding of why Keegan gets on the boat and goes with his father out there, instead of that just being like a talk in one scene where like Killian asks like, "Why are you here?" and Barry goes on for like 5 minutes talking about it. You just get maybe a 3-minute scene that shows him like looking at the boat longingly, and you're like, "Yeah, I get it."
Yeah.
Something. Sorry, I'm trying to switch in. That kind of stuck out was Harry Styles. So when I first I watched this I think 2 times before this. First time I watched this, I didn't really care. Truth be told, I didn't even know who he was. I know where he was in the movie. Everybody made it a big thing, like Harry Styles in a movie. First time I saw it, didn't even notice him. But now watching it, it's kind of distracting and kind of not believable. I guess unbelievable would be the word, but
Yeah.
because we all know him for One Direction, but seeing this pop star come into this war movie just fighting for his life, I'm like, it's like like if you come in as an actor, then I know that like we all know what's his name, Leonardo DiCaprio has like lives whatever type lifestyle he has, but we can always adjust him because he came in as an actor. We only know him for that, but if you start off as a pop star and switching to acting, it's kind of like distracting. Like it just doesn't like feel real.
I know you for singing songs, not for acting in movies.
You know what I mean? Like who else is another one? Who's a pop star turned that does like serious movies? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, sometimes acting roles just don't fit people. Not saying he did a bad job. It was just something I noticed.
To me, I felt like it didn't have much presence, I guess I could say.
Mhm.
Like, I know Nolan, whenever like people asked him about it, he was looking for something specific in the casting and like nobody had it, but Styles, who like just happened to apply, had it. Like that's one thing. But I don't feel like having him there took me out of it because I don't feel like he had enough screen time for me to really pay attention to his character.
Yeah.
If you will. Like, yes, he's there. He's in some scenes. He has a few dialogue options. and then he just kind of disappears. I'm like, okay.
It wasn't a big role. I don't know, just something that kind of stuff.
And it's not that like he needed to be either. Like I don't think he should have been like plastered on his star boy or whatever and just been the poster child. But like, I just almost don't like recognize that he's there. Like, if you're gonna ask me who I thought was a good standout in that, I'm probably gonna tell you either Cillian Murphy, the dude that's the main character on the beach, whose name I'm completely blanking on.
Tommy?
Yeah, Tommy. Like it'd probably be one of those two. Like even Tom Hardy, I feel like kind of takes a back seat.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let me see. I don't think
even Michael Caine takes a back seat in this film.
someone told me he
Yeah.
was. I read something. They said he wasn't. I'm like, dude, he was on the phone.
Yeah, he's not directly in it, but his voice is. He's over the plane like the star of the film and doesn't get a credit in the ending, like credits or anything.
Yeah.
Just an unlisted cameo.
I think I talked about everything I needed to. Cinematography and the turquoise. Yeah, I think I'm good. Do you guys have anything else you?
I'm good. What about you, Griffin?
I've got nothing.
All right, then let's hop into ratings. Ooh, Griffin, we do them out of 5. Where are we rating this? 1 through 5 or 0 through 5?
Are half ratings allowed?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd say 4.5 out of 5.
4.5 out of 5.
What detracts the half from you?
I'd say it's just like maybe it's like the length a little bit. Like I feel like maybe it could have been a little bit longer, just like a little bit more action. But like that's just a minor nitpick, nothing like huge that would really detract.
It's understandable.
If
Otherwise, it's absolutely perfect in my eyes.
what section would you want to be longer?
I feel like again, I'm gonna say this. If they focused more on like the airplane dogfight scenes, like
Okay.
I kind of would have liked more of those. They're just like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Luke.
I think I will give it a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
Which I think is reasonable, but not too much of a glaze at the same time. I have those minor issues with it, with like it being a little spaced out between the 3 point of views. I don't care as much about the others compared to the beach. Probably just because we spend the most time on the beach, and that's the one that I feel like is probably the most intense, followed by the dogfights in the air. I like the acting a lot. I think everybody does a good job. Even the characters like Harry Styles, who are just like kind of barely there,
Yeah.
they're still doing good. Practicality, oh my god, love it, so good. I appreciate it. I'm glad that it's not just the CG slop fest. But
I just watched something about is this Carry On? Have you seen it on Netflix?
I've seen about it, but I've not watched it yet. It might be on the long list. I know you watched it.
Yeah, it was just showing how they CGI'd it and like I don't know, it's just weird.
Is that hard? Is it that hard to build the inside of an airplane for a set piece? Like,
No, it wasn't that. It was a car scene.
oh, okay.
Our car was like flipping over.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like just the general aspect. It was like it can't be that hard to build seats in an airplane. Like,
Nah,
but
I think I'll give it. I think I'll give it a 4.5.
4.5.
But I gave it a 5 a couple years ago. But for some, I think a movie has to have a real connection with me to have a 5 out of 5. But this one just didn't have it. Just didn't have it. Everything's great about it though. I think sound design was one of the big aspects with this, and building the suspense. Cinematography's cool. Acting's good.
and it won awards for some of the sound stuff, I believe, too.
Can't co-sign that. I don't know, but I believe you.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was just something that just didn't stick with me. That I just can't give it a 5. I don't really rate things 5 either. I think I have a couple movies that are like a 5. I think I have like 20 average out of 5s, but not saying this is bad. It's still a great movie nonetheless. But yeah, that is it. Thank you all for watching. To Do Some Movies, we're back, better than ever.
Griff, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Hope we didn't scare you off too much or be too nerdy for you.
Yeah, or make you wonder, like, what the hell are these guys doing after it took 30 minutes to set up when we got it?
But
That was out of our control. That's not our.
Yeah.
That's not our fault.
yeah,
This one to watch too.
yeah. But thank you all for watching. I'm Cam,
I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.